1.2. Her second tragedy came when she was 18. She was riding in a bus when it collided with a tram. She suffered serious injuries, which affected her ability to have children. Although she recovered, she was in pain for much of her life and had 3 miscarriages. But it was this accident and the long periods of recuperation that changed Frida's career plans. She had wanted to study medicine, but instead, she started to paint at the age of 47. She actually carried on trying to finish it on her deathbed, which suggests that it had grandparents. On the left are her father's parents, whose ancestors were German-Hungarian. On the right are her maternal grandparents. Her grandfather, Antonio, had American Indian origins, while her grandmother, Isabel, was the great-granddaughter of a Spanish general. Her parents, Matilda and Guillermo, who were dead by the time this picture was painted, are in the middle of the picture. Their portraits are based on photographs, and it is interesting that they are shown turning away from each other. Their marriage was an unhappy one. They appear with their dead parents in a kind of cloud above their 4 daughters. From left to right, the daughters are Matilda, the eldest, then Adriana, followed by Frida herself, with her niece Isolda, and then with a blanked-out face, her sister Christina. Frida was very close to Christina, but also jealous of her, especially because she had an affair with Frida's husband, the painter Diego Rivera. The next figure is Christina's son Antonio, but it is not clear who the last unfinished face in the very bottom right-hand corner might be. 1.3. Part 1. Second tragedy came when she was 18. She was riding in a bus when it collided with a tram. She suffered serious injuries, which affected her ability to have children. Although she recovered, she was in pain for much of her life and had 3 miscarriages. But it was this accident and the long periods of recuperation that changed Frida's career plans. She had wanted to study medicine, but instead, she started to paint. Have wanted to repaint them. Frida started it in 1949, 5 years before the end of her short life. She died in 1954 at the age of 47. She actually carried on trying to finish it on her deathbed, which suggests that it had a strong meaning for her. 1.4. Part 2. Sets of grandparents. On the left are her father's parents, whose ancestors were German-Hungarian. On the right are her maternal grandparents. Her grandfather, Antonio, had American Indian origins, while her grandmother, Isabel, was the great-granddaughter of a Spanish general. Her parents, Matilda and Guillermo, who were dead by the time this picture was painted, are in the middle of the picture. Their portraits are based on photographs, and it is interesting that they are shown turning away from each other. Their marriage was an unhappy one. They appear with their dead parents in a kind of cloud above their 4 daughters. From left to right, the daughters are Matilda, the eldest, then Adriana, followed by Frida herself, with her niece Isolda, and then with a blanked-out face, her sister Christina. Frida was very close to Christina, but also jealous of her, especially because she had an affair with Frida's husband, the painter Diego Rivera. The next figure is Christina's son Antonio, but it is not clear who the last unfinished face in the very bottom right-hand corner. 5. Expressions for agreeing and disagreeing. 1.
I totally agree.
2.
That's what I think, too.
3.
Absolutely.
4.
I see your point, but...
5.
I see what you mean, but...
6.
I agree up to a point, but
7.
I completely disagree.
8.
I don't agree at all.
9.
I don't think you're right.
1.6. Personality. Adjectives. 1,
Thorough.
2,
Resourceful.
3,
Self-sufficient.
4,
Steady.
5,
Determined.
6,
Bright.
7,
Sympathetic.
8,
Conscientious.
9,
Gentle.
10,
Straightforward.
11,
Spontaneous.
12.
Sarcastic.
1.7. Phrases. 1,
My father tends to avoid conflict. He never argues with my mother. He just leaves the room.
2,
I don't really like taking risks, especially with money.
3,
She makes life hard for herself because she refuses to compromise. Everything has to be perfect.
4,
She's very stubborn. She rarely changes her mind, even when she knows she's probably wrong.
5,
I worry about my grandmother. She's so trusting that it would be easy for people to take advantage of her.
6,
On the surface, he seems self-confident, but deep down, he's really insecure.
1.8. Idioms. 1, F,
My brother-in-law is very down to earth. He's very sensible and practical.
2, B,
My mom has a heart of gold. She's incredibly kind to everyone she meets.
3, A,
My boss is kind of a cold fish. He's unfriendly and he never shows his emotions.
4, C,
My brother's a real pain in the neck. He's so annoying. He's always taking my things.
5, D,
Dad's a soft touch. I can always persuade him to lend me his car on the weekend.
6, E,
My uncle has a very short temper. He gets angry very easily.
1.9. 1,
Conscientious. Shower.
2, determined. Fish. 3,
Thorough. Phone.
4, easygoing. Zebra. 5,
Steady. Egg.
6, spontaneous. Train. 1.10. Work. Adjectives describing a job. 1, C,
My boss has a deep, authoritative voice. When he speaks, we all stop what we're doing and listen to him carefully.
2, A,
I'm a cashier at a supermarket. I really enjoy my job, but it can be a little monotonous and repetitive. I have to do exactly the same thing every day.
3, B,
I'm an elementary school teacher. I find working with young children very rewarding. It makes me happy because it's useful and important.
4. F.
I work for a small graphic design company, and my job's really motivating. The kind of work I do and the people I work with make me want to work harder.
5. D.
Being a surgeon is very demanding. It's very high pressure, and you have to work long hours.
6. E.
I work at an accounting firm. My job is incredibly tedious. It's really boring and it makes me feel impatient all the time.
1.11. Collocations. What I'm really thinking. The intern.
I've just started my third internship. At the end of it, I will have been an unpaid worker for over a year. It feels as though I'm not in control of my own life, that I'm helpless. Academic qualifications and work experience are almost irrelevant when you're competing against people who have years of experience, many of whom are taking a step down the career ladder. I'm not picky. I've spent time in a children's charity, events management, a press office, but they haven't gotten me a permanent job. It's demoralizing and exhausting. Job hunting is a full-time occupation. I challenge anyone who disagrees with me about this. After clocking out, most people can be free for the night. For the intern, it's time to go home and look for work. I have no idea how many positions I've applied for since graduating, but it's more than 100.
1.12. The same or different? 1.
Colleagues and coworkers mean the same thing.
2.
Quit and resign mean the same thing.
3.
Staff and workforce mean the same thing.
4.
Be laid off and be downsized mean the same thing.
5.
Be out of work and be on leave are different. Be out of work means be unemployed. Be on leave means be away from work because of illness or another reason.
6.
Be fired and be sacked mean the same thing.
7.
Get promoted and get a raise are different. Get promoted means get a better job in the same company. Get a raise means get an increase in salary.
8.
Skills and qualifications are different. Skills are particular abilities, for example, IT skills. Qualifications are exams you have passed or studies you have completed.
9.
Hire somebody and employ somebody mean the same thing.
10.
Perks and benefits mean the same thing.
1.13.
Well, today I'm very pleased to be visiting the Edinburgh offices of Skyscanner, a company which did extremely well in this year's Sunday Times Best Companies to Work For Awards, coming 6th overall and winning outright in the categories for Most Exciting Future and Best Personal Growth. So today we're speaking to a PR manager at Skyscanner. Could you start by telling us a bit about what you do?
So, I am the PR manager for the Danish, Swedish and Turkish markets. I look after our PR agencies there, and what that really means is that I work with them to get Skyscanner messages and stories into the media. So that could be anything from a big report on trends, on the future of travel, to smaller stories about where the Turkish people are going on summer holidays.
And how long have you worked at Skyscanner?
I have just celebrated my year anniversary.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Lots has changed in a year, but all good changes.
And what was it that attracted you to apply for a job here?
I had always wanted to work somewhere that was kind of travel focused. My previous job was in a very dry environment, so much so that I decided I would go travelling. And then, the day before I flew to South America for a few months, I had an interview here and found out when I was in the Bolivian salt flats that I got the job. So, really nice, yeah.
Skyscanner did very well in this year's Sunday Times survey of best companies to work for. Do you agree that it's a good place to work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very funny thing, actually, because it very quickly becomes the norm for someone who works here. All these amazing benefits we have. So when you talk to someone else, in another company, you suddenly think, wow, we're so lucky. So, anything from flexible working to the small things like free fruit to people being able to work from their home country. They are all massive benefits that you quite quickly get used to, but I think everyone really does appreciate it.
So I guess it would be difficult to go anywhere else after this.
Yes, very much. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the ploy that they've gone with.
Is there one thing that you'd identify for you as a particularly significant benefit?
I have to admit, what I really love is the flexible working policy. It's a quite casual thing. There is no formal procedure, but it very much places the trust with the employees. So, if I want to leave early on a Friday, there is kind of this relaxed understanding. Do you know what? You'll make up the time when you can. You're in charge. You're the one who knows your workload and your own role, which is really nice. It's quite refreshing because it's quite unusual, especially within a large corporate, organization. And so I particularly like that.
Is there anything that you might change about the company or about the way it treats its employees?
I think. So we're growing at quite a kind of rapid pace. And I think because we have 6 different offices, Beijing, Miami, I think as we grow, it will probably be something that we need to tackle in terms of how we all work together across different time zones. So I think at some point that will be something that becomes more of an issue. It's not at the moment, but I'm pretty confident that Skyscanner will be able to tackle that, and tackle that in good time.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
(1.14) 1.
I had always wanted to work somewhere that was kind of travel focused.
2.
It's a very funny thing, actually, because it very quickly becomes the norm for someone who works here.
3.
So I guess it would be difficult to go anywhere else after this.
Yes, very much. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the ploy that they've gone with.
4.
I have to admit, what I really love is the flexible working policy. It's a quite casual thing. There is no formal procedure, but it very much places the trust with the employees. So, if I want to leave early on a Friday, there is kind of this relaxed understanding. Do you know what? You'll make up the time when you can. You're in charge. You're the one who knows your workload.
5.
I think. So we're growing at quite a kind of rapid pace. And I think because we have 6 different offices, Beijing, Miami, I think as we grow, it will probably be something that we need to tackle in terms of how we all work together across different time zones. So I think at some point that will be something that becomes more of an issue. It's not at the moment, but I'm pretty confident that Skyscanner will be able to tackle that.
1.15
Boston transportation workers were on strike yesterday. As a result, it took people twice as long to get to work.
1.16 1.
I want to find a job closer to home so that I don't
2. I didn't tell my boss how bad I thought his idea was, so as not to. 3.
Being a doctor is very demanding, partly because of
4. Even though I was offered a good salary, 5.
house prices in San Francisco have gone up dramatically, and as a result, young people
6. Staff will be given a bonus payment in December due to the. 7.
I wasn't offered the job in spite of having
8. The company has not been able to find a buyer, therefore it will. 1.17. 1.
I want to find a job closer to home so that I don't have to spend so much time commuting.
2.
I didn't tell my boss how bad I thought his idea was, so as not to lose my job.
3.
Being a doctor is very demanding, partly because of the long hours.
4.
Even though I was offered a good salary, I decided not to accept the job.
5.
House prices in San Francisco have gone up dramatically, and as a result, young people can't afford to live there.
6.
Staff will be given a bonus payment in December due to the rise in annual profits.
7.
I wasn't offered the job in spite of having all the necessary qualifications.
8.
The company has not been able to find a buyer, therefore it will be closing in 2 months.
1.18. Interview with a folk musician. Part 1.
The wren is the king of all birds. On St. Stephen's Day he was caught in the furs. Though he is little, his family is great. Rise up, Mrs. Thomas, and give us a treat. Hello, 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 boys. Hello, hello, hello.
Eliza Carthy, could you tell us a bit about your family background, your parents and grandparents?
I come from a musical family. My parents are folk singers. My father is a guitarist who is known for playing the guitar and inventing a particular style of English folk guitar. He started playing when he was 17, back in the 50s, and really was quite instrumental in his youth in sort of building the 60s folk club scene in London. He was a friend of Bob Dylan and Paul Simon many years ago, and is known for reconstructing old traditional ballads, traditional English ballads. My mother comes from a folk singing family called the Watersons, and they were from the north of England. They're from Hull, which is in the north of England, and they were also instrumental in the beginning of the 60s folk revival, the formation of the folk clubs, and the beginning of basically the professional music scene that I work on now.
And were your parents both from musical families?
Really, both sides of my family are musical. My mother's side of the family were all travellers and gypsies. Her grandmother, she was brought up by her grandmother. Both of her parents died when she was very young. She had an uncle that played the trumpet. Her father played the banjo. He used to listen to American radio during the Second World War, and he used to learn the songs off the radio like that. Her grandmother was very into the sort of old romantic ballads, like the Spinning Wheel and things like that. And she used to sing when they were little. The whole family sang, the whole family danced. And I was brought up in that kind of a family. My mother and her her brother and her sister were in a singing group. My dad joined that singing group, and then when I was old enough, I joined the family as well.
So you had a very musical upbringing.
My upbringing was, I suppose some people might think it was quite a hippie upbringing. I was brought up on a farm that had 3 houses in a row, with me and my mum and dad in the end house, my uncle, my mum's brother, and his wife and their 4 children in the middle house, and then my mum's sister and her husband and their 2 children on the other end house. And we grew up basically self-sufficient. We had animals, and we had chickens and goats and pigs and horses and things like that, and we grew up singing together and living together in that environment in North Yorkshire in the 1970s. Because my parents were professional musicians and touring musicians, we had a lot of touring musician friends who would come and stay at the farm, and they would sing and play all the time. There was music all around when I was a child, and that really formed the basis of how I live now.
1.19 Interview with a Folk Musician, Part 2.
Do you think it was inevitable that you'd become a professional musician?
Well, if you were ever to ask any of us we would definitely have all said no. I wanted to be a writer. My mum certainly didn't want me to go on the road. My mum retired in 1966 from professional touring to raise me. I mean, the road is a difficult place, whether you're travelling with your family or with a band or on your own. And she certainly didn't want that for me. My dad also probably never thought that I would do it, but I ended up following his footsteps and quitting school when I was 17 and going on the road, and I've been on the road ever since.
Can you tell us about your first public performance?
My dad says that my first public performance was at the Fylde Folk Music Festival in Fleetwood in Lancashire when I was 6. And we were at the Marine Hall, and they were singing. The Watersons, the family group, was singing, and I asked if I could go up on stage with them, and I was 6. And Dad said, "Well, you know, you probably don't know everything, so just you can stand next to me on stage, and we'll start singing. And if you know the song, just pull on my leg, and I'll lift you up to the microphone, and you can join in." God, it must have been awful. But yes, apparently, the first song they started up singing, tugged on his leg and picked me up and held me to the microphone. I sang that, and he was like, "Did you enjoy that?" "Yes, I did." And put me down again. They started singing the next one. Tugged on his leg, same thing. And he just ended up doing the whole concert with me sitting on his hip, which now I have a 6-year-old. I know how heavy she is. It must have been quite difficult. God bless him.
Has having children yourself changed your approach to your career?
Yes, in a way. Yes, in a way it has. I've just reordered my working year because my eldest daughter has just started school. So I'm not free to take the children with me on the road anymore, and I'm now bound by the school term. So I try to work only on the weekends and in school holidays now, and I try to be mummy from Monday to Friday, taking them to school, bringing them back again. I'm not getting a great deal of sleep, but then I don't know many mothers of 6 and 4-year-olds that are getting a great deal of sleep.
1.20 Interview with a Folk Musician, Part 3.
You do a lot of collaborations with other musicians. What is it that appeals to you about working like that?
I like working with others. I don't like working alone. I don't know if that's because I don't trust myself or I just don't like being alone. I like being surrounded by a big crowd of people. I suppose that's partly to do with my upbringing. There was always so many people around that I'm at my best. I'm at my best in a large event where loads of people are running around doing things and we're all sort of collaborating with each other and there's lots of ideas and everyone's having a creative time. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel I work best, and that's why at the moment I have a 13-piece band, and it's just heaven for me, being with so many people and just feeling like part of a big machine. I love that.
Is there a difference between playing with your family and playing with other people?
Yes, very much so. I'm not sure if I could tell you how different or why it's different. My dad is very eloquent on how and why it's different, and he knows that uniquely because he joined the Watersons, and the Watersons was a brother and two sisters, and he joined that. And of course he was married to my mum, but he wasn't related to her. And there is this thing within family groups, this blood harmony thing, this intuition. You have similar sounding voices, you know where a relative is going to go, and that may be because you know each other so well, but it also may be whatever it is that binds a family together anyway.
Would you like your children to follow in your footsteps?
I get very, very excited when the children love music. I get very excited. My daughter Florence is very, very sharp. She listens and she plays Twinkle Twinkle on the violin, plucking like that, and on the guitar as well. And she has a very, very good sense of rhythm. She loves foreign languages as well. There's a real sort of correlation there between language and singing. She has great pitch. She is able to learn songs and things very, very quickly, and I love that. And Isabella, my youngest, as well, she's really showing interest in it. I love it when they do that. As to whether or not I'd want them to be touring musicians, I think I'm probably of the same opinion as my mother, which is no, not really. But I think the world is changing anyway. I don't know how many touring musicians there are going to be in the world in 20 years when they're ready. I don't know.
(1.21) Interview with a folk musician. Looking at language. 1.
And they were also instrumental in the beginning of the 60s folk revival, the formation of the folk clubs, and the beginning of basically the professional music scene that I work on now.
2.
And were your parents both from musical families?
Really, both sides of my family are musical.
3.
My mum retired in 1965, 66 from professional touring to raise me. I mean, the road is a difficult place.
4.
But yes, apparently, the first song they started up singing, tugged on his leg.
5.
Has having children yourself changed your approach to your career?
Yes, in a way. Yes, in a way it has.
6.
The Watersons was a brother and two sisters, and he joined that. And of course he was married to my mum, but he wasn't related to her.
7.
And Isabella, my youngest, as well, she's really showing interest in it. I love it when they do that. As to whether or not I'd want them to be touring musicians,
8.
but I think the world is changing anyway. I don't know how many touring musicians there are going to be in the world in 20 years.
1.22. 1. How much do you know about your family tree?
I actually know quite a bit about my family tree on my dad's side. I don't know very much about my mom's side.
Have you ever researched it?
Yeah, my dad actually has done a lot of research, and he can trace us all the way back to the Mayflower.
Is there anyone in your family that you'd like to know more about?
I would like to know more about my mom's side. Her father was adopted, so there's a lot we don't know.
2. How much do you know about your family tree?
I know a fair amount about my family tree. I know we come back from ancestors in Sweden and England, and I know we've traced it back, I think, to the 1500s for some of the lines.
Have you ever researched it?
I haven't personally done a lot of research about my ancestors. I know we have the books and we have the stories and the journals, and it's all there. So I guess I'd be interested to know a little bit about what my ancestors did before they came to America, because I think they were farmers. I'm not entirely sure.
3. How much do you know about your family tree?
I know a little bit because my dad's done some research into his side of the family. We know that my father's side stretches back to the 1700s in Cornwall. My great-great-grandfather went down on the Titanic. Interesting piece of family history. And we've got some family artifacts for that.
Is there anyone in your family that you'd like to know more about?
Probably the wife of the man who went down with the Titanic. I think she had quite an interesting and quite difficult life. She had a baby, brought it up by herself, so sounds like an amazing woman.
4. How much do you know about your family tree?
I know quite a lot because a relative of my father's did some research on our family tree about 20 years ago. So, I know that my father's family is from Luxembourg, and in fact when I worked there I tried to get in touch with some distant relatives, but they weren't interested.
Is there anyone in your family that you'd like to know more about?
Guess what? It's precisely those relatives who are still living in Luxembourg, but what can I do? If they didn't want to meet me, oh well, I guess it's just destiny.
5. How much do you know about your family tree?
You know, I know a little bit about my family tree because I was lucky enough to grow up with having great-grandparents in my life until about like 9th grade. So I know a lot from them, and they told me a lot of stories about their parents and grandparents, but it doesn't go much further than that, and that's only on my dad's side. I know about immigration from Russia, but that's all I know. And then my mom's side I really don't know a lot about, but it's something I'm interested in looking into.
Have you ever researched it?
I've tried to research it a little bit, like doing the Ancestry.com thing, but I haven't really gotten much further than that.
Is there anyone in your family that you'd like to know more about?
I'd love to know more about my great-grandmother's grandmother, so I guess that would be my great-great-great-grandmother. Yeah.
1.23. 1.
I actually know quite a bit about my family tree on my dad's side.
2.
Because I think they were farmers. I'm not entirely sure.
3.
I know a little bit because my dad's done some research.
4.
Guess what? It's precisely those relatives.
5.
But it doesn't go much further than that, and that's only on my dad's side.
2.1. 1.
He always referred to his father as my old man.
2.
I like all vegetables except broccoli.
3.
The food was acceptable, but no more than that.
4.
I think taking the dog with us is an unnecessary complication.
5.
There was a consensus of opinion that the article should not be published.
6.
It was a very strange occurrence.
7.
Please don't embarrass me by wearing that hat.
8.
During your driver's test, you will be asked to perform some standard maneuvers.
9.
We'll definitely be there by 7.
10.
They married in 2016, but separated 2 years later.
2.2. I have a spelling checker. It came with my PC. It plainly marks for my review mistakes I cannot see. I've run this poem through it. I'm sure you're pleased to know it's letter perfect in its way. My checker told me so. 2.3. 1.
Hurt. Dishonest. Inherit. Heart. Himself.
2. Oh. Throw. Elbow. Lower. Power. Grow. 3.
I. Compromise. Despite. River. Right. Quite.
4. Whenever. Why. Whose. Where. Which. 5.
Jealous. Journalist. Reject. Job. Enjoy.
6. Challenging. Achieve. Chorus. Catch. Charge. 7.
Sense. Seem. Sympathetic. Synonym. Sure.
8. Awe. Awful. Raw. Flaw. Drawback. Law. 9.
Or. Short. Corner. Work. Ignore. Reporter.
10. Firm. Dirty. Third. T-shirt. Birth. 2.4.
There.
2.5. 1. Mary.
I'm from a small village on the southeast coast of. It's a very small place. Not very many people live there. I liked growing up there, but I think it's a better place to visit than it is to actually live, because there isn't very much for young people to do there. The people are quite nice and friendly, but most people have spent their whole lives there, and their families have been there for several generations, so sometimes it can seem a bit insular.
2. Justin.
I'm from which is on the western coast of in the province of. It's a great place to raise a family. It has a good mix of city things and outdoor activities to do. Vancouver has a population of around 632,000, so it's quite a big city, but it's not so big that you feel overwhelmed. I'd say the people there are friendly and quite welcoming.
3. Jerry.
I'm from in the southeast of I was born here and I've lived here my whole life. It's difficult to say what the people are like because in a way, it's a city of two halves, famous for its university, but also, which obviously has people from all over the world, but also, it's a city in its own right. It has a very large BMW factory where they make minis, but it's a nice place. I like it. I've lived here my whole life pretty much, so there we are.
4. Andrea.
So, I'm from which is on the southeast coast of just in the state of This is a really cultural city, very European. You've got everything from beaches to art galleries, lots of shopping and bars and restaurants, so it's a fantastic city to be in. The people are really laid back and quite friendly there. We've got a very big mixture of cultures there, so a very multicultural city. So it's quite diverse and a really interesting place to be.
5. Lily.
I'm from and it's a nice mix between rural and city life because it has a lot of nature and nice kinds of mountain landscapes where you can go hiking or walking, but it also has nice access to the city and lots of nice little shops and restaurants as well.
6. Paul.
Okay, I was born in the late 50s. I moved to when I went to university, and of course it's a very beautiful old colonial centre with lovely buildings and the aspect of Table Bay with the beautiful backdrop of Table Mountain, wonderful vegetation and a wonderful friendly community of people. It's very vibrant and exciting. People like bright colours in the strong sunlight. It's a very creative environment.
2.6. 1. Mary.
I'm from a small village on the southeast coast of Scotland. It's a very small place. Not very many people live there. I liked growing up there, but I think it's a better place to visit than it is to actually live, because there isn't very much for young people to do there. The people are quite nice and friendly, but most people have spent their whole lives there, and their families have been there for several generations, so sometimes it can seem a bit insular.
2. Justin.
I'm from Vancouver, which is on the western coast of Canada, in the province of British Columbia. It's a great place to raise a family. It has a good mix of city things and outdoor activities to do. Vancouver has a population of around 632,000, so it's quite a big city, but it's not so big that you feel overwhelmed. I'd say the people there are friendly and quite welcoming.
3. Jerry.
I'm from Oxford in the southeast of England. I was born here and I've lived here my whole life. It's difficult to say what the people are like because in a way, it's a city of two halves. Famous for its university, but also, which obviously has people from all over the world, but also, it's a city in its own right. It has a very large BMW factory where they make minis, but it's a nice place. I like it. I've lived here my whole life pretty much, so there we are.
4. Andrea.
So, I'm from Melbourne, which is on the southeast coast of Australia, just in the state of Victoria. This is a really cultural city, very European. You've got everything from beaches to art galleries, lots of shopping and bars and restaurants, so it's a fantastic city to be in. The people are really laid back and quite friendly there. We've got a very big mixture of cultures there, so a very multicultural city. So it's quite diverse and a really interesting place to be.
5. Lily.
I'm from New Jersey, and it's a nice mix between rural and city life because it It has a lot of nature and nice kinds of mountain landscapes where you can go hiking or walking, but it also has nice access to the city and lots of nice little shops and restaurants as well.
6. Paul.
Okay, I was born in Johannesburg in the late 50s. I moved to Cape Town when I went to university. And of course, it's a very beautiful old colonial centre with lovely buildings and the aspect of Table Bay with the beautiful backdrop of Table Mountain. Wonderful vegetation and a wonderful friendly community of people. It's very vibrant and exciting. People like bright colours in the strong sunlight. It's a very creative environment.
2.7.
Do you find it easier to understand native or non-native speakers of English?
Well, I've been in the United States for 7 years now, and I've been exposed to a lot of different accents, not only people from the United States, but from different parts of the world, so I'm used to it. In terms of regional accents in the U.S., I still sometimes have trouble with Southern accents. They're a little more challenging for me because I don't live in the South. The most stressful thing, I think, is talking on the phone because you don't have the face-to-face interaction, so it can be tricky.
How do you feel about having your English corrected?
Well, it hasn't happened much lately, but I don't mind because that's how we learn, We learn from our own mistakes. Sometimes when I'm tired, I might make a mistake with a third-person form, but usually people are quite tolerant. And sometimes I catch my own mistakes, so I'm able to correct myself.
2.8.
Do you have any funny or embarrassing stories related to misunderstanding someone?
Yes, this happened a few years ago. I was trying to organize an evening out with some friends, and one of my friends picked a place for all of us to meet, and he said, "Let's all meet at Hideout." He meant Hideout, like a hiding place, which was the name of a bar. But I completely misunderstood him and thought he said hideout, 2 words, like H-I-G-H-D-O-U-B-T. So this caused a lot of confusion because I passed on the information to a bunch of other people and everybody got extremely confused and we couldn't find the place. We had to call him to find out where it was, and then we all figured out that I had misunderstood and gotten the name of the place wrong. Yeah, it took us a while, but in the end we all got together and had a good laugh, so it all worked out.
Is there anything you still find difficult about English?
I find that certain idioms related to sports don't come easily to me because I don't know anything about baseball or basketball or American football. And there's quite a few idioms in American English that come from those sports, like hit it out of the park or slam dunk. So even though I do understand them in context, I don't use them because I don't always see the connection. Oh, and spelling. Romanian is a phonetic language, so spelling isn't necessarily as important as it is in English. Sometimes I have to write words out in English, maybe because I'm a visual learner. I have to visualize the letters in my head before I can spell the word.
2.9. Boy by Roald Dahl. Part 1.
Every now and then, a plain grey cardboard box was dished out to each boy in our house. And this, believe it or not, was a present from the great chocolate manufacturers, Cadbury. Inside the box there were 12 bars of chocolate, all of different shapes, all with different fillings and all with numbers from 1 to 12 stamped underneath. 11 of these bars were new inventions from the factory. The 12th was the control bar, one that we all knew well, usually a Cadbury's coffee cream bar. Also in the box was a sheet of paper with the numbers 1 to 12 on it, as well as 2 blank columns, one for giving marks to each chocolate from 0 to 10, and the other for comments. All we were required to do in return for this splendid gift was to taste very carefully each bar of chocolate, give it marks, and make an intelligent comment on why we liked or disliked it. It was a clever stunt. Cadbury's were using some of the greatest chocolate bar experts in the world to test out their new inventions. We were of a sensible age, between 13 and 18, and we knew intimately every chocolate bar in existence, from the milk flake to the lemon marshmallow. Quite obviously, our opinions on anything new would be valuable. All of us entered into this game with great gusto, sitting in our studies and nibbling each bar with the air of connoisseurs, giving our marks and making our comments. Too subtle for the common palate was one note that I remember writing down.
2.10 Part 2
For me, the importance of all this was that I began to realize that the large chocolate companies actually did possess inventing rooms, and they took their inventing very seriously. I used to picture a long white room like a laboratory, with pots of chocolate and fudge and all sorts of other delicious fillings bubbling away on the stoves, while men and women in white coats moved between the bubbling pots, tasting and mixing and concocting their wonderful new inventions. I used to imagine myself working in one of these labs, and suddenly I would come up with something so unbearably delicious that I would grab it in my hand and go rushing out of the lab and along the corridor and right into the offices of the great Mr. Cadbury himself. "I've got it, sir!" I would shout, putting the chocolate in front of him. "It's fantastic! It's fabulous! It's marvellous! It's irresistible!" Slowly, the great man would pick up my newly invented chocolate, and he would take a small bite. He would roll it round his mouth. Then all at once, he would leap from his chair, crying, "You've got it! You've done it! It's a miracle!" He would slap me on the back and shout, "We'll sell it by the million! We'll sweep the world with this one! How on earth did you do it? Your salary is doubled." It was lovely dreaming those dreams, and I have no doubt at all that 35 years later, when I was looking for a plot for my second book for children, I remembered those little cardboard boxes and the newly invented chocolates inside them, and I began to write a book called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
2.11 1.
From the age of about 7 till I was 16, I went to an all-girls school in Connecticut.
2.
When I was little, and actually still now, I was absolutely terrified of spiders.
3.
When I was a young child, I used to have a lot of nightmares.
4.
From the age of about 9, I was sick and I had an overactive thyroid gland.
5.
When I was in elementary school, I used to hate school meals.
6.
When I was a kid, we always used to go on vacation to the mountains.
2.12 1.
Adulthood. Neighborhood.
2. Friendship, membership, partnership, relationship.
3.
Boredom, freedom, wisdom.
4. Curiosity, generosity, possibility.
5.
Awareness, happiness, kindness, sadness, sickness.
6. Celebration, frustration, imagination, temptation.
7.
Achievement, amazement, disappointment, excitement, improvement.
2.13 1.
Adult. Adulthood.
2,
Celebrate. Celebration.
3,
Curious. Curiosity.
4,
Disappoint. Disappointment.
5,
Free. Freedom.
6,
Happy. Happiness.
7,
Relation. Relationship.
2.14. 1,
Anger. Angry.
2,
Shame. Ashamed.
3,
Death. Dead.
4,
Danger. Dangerous.
5,
Belief. Believe.
6,
Hatred. Hate.
7,
Loss. Lose.
8,
Memory. Remember.
2.15. 1. My earliest memory, I must have been about 3, I guess, maybe 2, was when we'd been to a county fair, and I would have gone with my brother, who's a little older than me, and my parents, and I'd been bought a helium balloon, and for some reason the balloon had a snowman inside it. It was only September. I don't know why there was a snowman, but there was, and I took it out into the backyard, and because it was full of helium, obviously it was pulling on the string. It wanted to fly away, and I let go. I didn't let go by accident. I remember letting go on purpose to see what would happen. And of course what happened was the balloon flew up into the sky over the neighbours' trees and disappeared. And I was absolutely devastated, heartbroken by the loss of the balloon, and stood there crying and crying. And my dad had to go back to the county fair and get me another identical balloon, which did nothing to console me. I kept crying and crying and crying. And that's my earliest memory, not a very happy one. 2.
My earliest memory is probably from when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and it was Christmas, and I was at my Nana's house with all my family, and my uncle was reading to me. He was reading The Little Mermaid, except that he was making it up. He wasn't actually reading the words in the book. He was just saying things like, Ariel went to buy some peanut butter and jelly, and things like that. And that made me really mad because I was at an age where I couldn't really read myself, but I knew that he was reading it wrong. So I got really annoyed with him and told him to read it the right way. But yeah, that's my earliest memory.
3.
My earliest memory is from when I must have been about 3. And we were moving to a new house. We moved to an apartment building. And I remember arriving and it was dark and we'd had a very long trip. And we arrived and we went in the door and we turned the lights on and nothing happened. And the whole apartment was completely black and dark. No power, no electricity, no lights. And I thought this was terrific. And we had a flashlight, and I was just running around the hall and the rooms, finding all these new rooms, all with a flashlight. And I imagined that it was always going to be like that we'd arrived in an apartment that wasn't going to have lights. So I was always going to have to use a flashlight. And I thought that was going to be amazing. My mother was in tears. Obviously, she was stressed out from the trip and arriving somewhere and having no power. But I was really, really excited by it. and the next day when the power came on, I was really disappointed.
2.16.
Are our first memories reliable, or are they always based on something people have told us? What age do most people's first memories come from? John Fisher has been reading a fascinating new book about memory by Professor Drazma called How Memory Shapes Our Past, and he's going to answer these questions for us and more. Hello, John.
Hello.
Let's start at the beginning then. At what age do first memories generally occur?
Well, according to both past and present research, 80% of our first memories are of things that happened to us between the ages of 2 and 4. It's very unusual to remember anything that happened before that age.
Why is that?
There seem to be two main reasons, according to Professor Drazma. The first reason is that before the age of 2, children don't have a clear sense of themselves as individuals. They can't usually identify themselves in a photo. And you know how a very small child enjoys seeing himself in a mirror, but he doesn't actually realize that the person he can see is him. Children of this age also have problems with the pronouns I and you, and a memory without I is impossible. That's to say, we can't begin to have memories until we have an awareness of self.
And the second reason?
The second reason is related to language. According to the research, first memories coincide with the development of linguistic skills, with a child learning to talk. And as far as autobiographical memory is concerned, it's essential for a child to be able to use the past tense so that he or she can talk about something that happened in the past and then remember it.
I see. What are first memories usually about? I mean, is it possible to generalize at all?
Early memories seem to be related to strong emotions such as happiness, unhappiness, pain, and surprise. Recent research suggests that 3/4 of first memories are related to fear, to frightening experiences like being left alone or a large dog or having an accident, things like falling off a swing in a park. And of course, this makes sense and bears out the evolutionary theory that the human memory is linked to self-preservation. You remember these things in order to be prepared if they happen again so that you can protect yourself.
Are first memories only related to emotions, or are there any specific events that tend to become first memories?
The events that are most often remembered, and these are always related to one of the emotions I mentioned before, are the birth of a baby brother or sister, a death, or a family visit. Festive celebrations with bright lights were also mentioned quite frequently, much more frequently than events we might have expected to be significant, like a child's first day at school. Another interesting aspect is that first memories tend to be very visual. They're almost invariably described as pictures, not smells or sounds.
First memories are often considered unreliable in that perhaps sometimes they're not real memories, just things other people have told us about ourselves or that we have seen in photos. Is that true according to Professor Drazma?
Absolutely. He cites the famous case of the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget.
2.17.
First memories are often considered unreliable in that perhaps sometimes they're not real memories, just things other people have told us about ourselves or that we have seen in photos. Is that true according to Professor Drazma?
Absolutely. He cites the famous case of the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. Piaget had always thought that his first memory was of sitting in his carriage as a 1-year-old baby when a man tried to kidnap him. He remembered his nanny fighting the kidnapper to save him. The nanny was then given a watch as a reward by Jean's parents. But many years later, I think when Jean was 15, the parents received a letter from the nanny in which she returned the watch to them. The nanny, who was by now an old woman, confessed in the letter that she'd made up the whole story, and that was why she was returning the watch. Of course, Jean had heard the story told so many times that he was convinced that he'd remembered the whole incident.
2.18. The History of English.
Hello, I'm Chris, and welcome to London.
But before we move from Big Ben to the London Eye, I need to send a tweet. Only a few years ago, tweet was something only birds did. Now everybody's tweeting, often using text speak or emoticons. But the inventiveness of the English language is nothing new. It has been evolving for over 1600 years.
In AD 43, the Romans invaded Britain, conquering the indigenous Celts and taking over most of the country. In AD 409, they left, and around 50 years later, several tribes from around northern Germany, including the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes, better known as the Anglo-Saxons, started to move in. They settled in the east, but unlike the Romans, the Anglo-Saxons didn't set out to conquer. They shared many things with the Celts, including language. Unlike Latin, which had never really caught on with the locals, people started using Anglo-Saxon terms for lots of everyday things, like man, woman, and friend. But then Latin made a comeback. This time, it didn't arrive with Roman soldiers, it arrived with Christian monks.
Christianity became very popular with the locals and introduced a whole new alphabet and religious vocabulary.
Then the Vikings arrived in around 800 AD. Their warrior spirit was reflected in their language. They raced through the country, ransacking towns and villages, armed with knives and clubs. They took land and goods, but they gave English around 2,000 words. The Vikings and the Anglo-Saxons battled for almost 300 years until the English King Harold won the Battle of Stamford Bridge. But only 3 weeks later, the unlucky Harold was killed by William the Conqueror, a Norman from France, at the Battle of Hastings.
William became the King of England and started building castles all over the country.
French became the language of the wealthy elite. It was the native tongue of all princes, dukes, barons, and dames. But English remained the language of the peasants. Farmers herded cows and sheep, which were Anglo-Saxon words, but the nobility ate beef and mutton, which were French words. Over the next 300 years, the two languages mixed until English eventually won out, albeit with 10,000 new words from the French.
This richer language was the perfect plaything for poets and playwrights, and one literary genius contributed more than most.
William Shakespeare wrote 38 plays and 150 poems. He also coined around 2,000 new words, and his turn of phrase transformed the entire language. The 16th century was also the age of discovery, and for Britain, this meant the birth of an empire that stretched across the globe. The British colonialists often used native words, and soon words like safari from the African language Swahili, pajamas from the Urdu language in India, and boomerang from the native Australian language Daruk had entered the language.
But the country that had the most impact on English was America. The newly independent America needed a new type of English, American English.
American English kept many of the Old English words, so today English curtains are still American drapes. English wardrobes are American closets, and English trousers are American pants.
But the language changed a lot too. The father of American English was Noah Webster.
He created a new dictionary that simplified the spelling of lots of complicated English words. He also introduced uniquely American words like squash, chowder, and skunk.
By the 20th century, there were two main types of English: British English and American English.
But throughout the 20th century, both continued to change and borrow from one another, especially with the invention of computers and the internet. Suddenly, we needed new words to describe our blogs, posts, and, of course, tweets.
Today, English is truly global. There are around 375 million native speakers, and about 1.5 billion people learn it as a foreign language.
but it is always changing and shifting to suit our needs. Today, the English vocabulary has over 170,000 words, and counting. We are inventing new words every day, and if we don't know them, we just Google them on our smartphones or send a tweet.
End of CD1.